So on Fresh Air right now then, I am so happy to say the day has come that we can say we are joined by the one, the only, Jack Garratt is on the line. How are you doing?
There we go. Yeah, I'm doing all right. Thank you very much. It's funny being the one and only.
I mean, is there any other Jack Garratts out there?
Like, surely statistically it's incorrect. Surely there must be other Jack Garratts in the world.
I know, but I mean, are they? Do they mean as much as you? Can we say that?
You can. I don't
Yeah, keep your mouth shut. But yeah, it's so great to have you on. I'm so honoured to have got to do this interview as well, because you're currently chatting to a super fan, and I know that's always a scary thing for a musician to have to chat through an interview to one of their super fans.
Thanks, Finn. That's kind of you to say that. It's brave of you to admit this early on.
I know. I'll be screaming your name by the end, trust me. But yeah, so I saw you for the first time when I was 15 in Aviemore in the Highlands of Scotland, of all places. If you remember playing...
the Gentlemen of the Road.
Yeah, the Mumford and Sons Festival. And I think I just finished watching Leanne LaHavas, and it was this total chill vibe. And then you came out on stage.
She's amazing.
And being Scotland, everyone was wearing those Rain Macs, and you came out, and the bass was so heavy that the vibration of the plastic Rain Macs, it almost drowned out the sound of you.
I think I remember seeing some funny videos from that trip of people who tagged me in things on like Instagram and Twitter of them taking videos of their Macs just like shaking around because of the bass. So yeah, I think that checks out. Oh,
it was great fun. It was a brilliant gig though. But yeah, just for anyone that hasn't heard you, how would you describe yourself? Because obviously you're a bit of a one-man band, but obviously that doesn't mean tambourine on the hip and bass drum on the back kind of idea.
Yeah, not anymore. I think the best way I've been describing this album, at least, is like I like to say that I'm someone who makes dance music for people who don't like to go out, because that's me and that's what I like to listen to. Definitely,
yeah. And so yeah, the new album is of course called it's Love, Death and Dancing. It's out on the 12th of June, and as you say, dance music for people that don't want to go out dancing. You've released it. You're going to release it at a pretty good time, aren't you?
Yeah, I didn't quite understand that I was going to be having like Nostradamus levels of prophecy.
Well, yeah, I'll say it's not a great skill to have. Maybe being able to prophesize things like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it's been. I mean, the music is still the same though. That's the thing. It's like obviously it's a nice well actually, but to be honest, that's the other thing, is I've been really careful about making sure that my language around talking about this isn't positive, because I don't really think there is much positive about what's happening, you know, like none of this is lucky. I'm not grateful for any of it, because people's lives have been significantly uprooted and affected by what's been going on. The only thing that I can say that is positive in any regard is that like the music that I'm bringing out is still music that I love, and I still hope and want people to enjoy it and listen to it. So yes, absolutely, it is still dance music for people who don't want to / can't go out. But ultimately, it's music. It's art. It's stories. It's universal concepts. It's things that we're all feeling. At least that's kind of what I've attempted to make. That still remains unchallenged and unchanged.
Oh, definitely. And I mean, I got the chance to listen to the album in full this morning, which was incredible. I'm such an honour to get to do that.
Oh, thanks, Finn.
And I will say this right now, it is one of the most confident albums I've ever seen anyone produce, because it is obviously I've heard the messages you've been saying about where this new album stems from, and just it's basically, it feels like you putting your foot down and saying, this is the music I want to make, and if you don't enjoy it, that's fine, but I love making it.
Yeah, I mean, and to be honest, that's exactly where it's come from. I've written this album for me, and I've satisfied 100% of that target audience. Beyond that, everything else is just a bonus. Like, I think that it's funny that like the word you use there is like confidence, because it's an album that's been written from insecurity.
Yeah.
And I love making music that challenges both ends of a pendulum swing. And you know, the music sounds celebratory and it sounds joyous and it sounds confident because it's been written from a place of, like I said, insecurity, uncertainty, self-doubt and self-hatred.
Yeah.
I want to create juxtapositions in the music that I make, and I'm really glad that that's come across. That's great.
So how does it feel now to be able to know that this music's going out to the world, that you get to show it off?
Awful. I hate it. No, I mean, it's incredible just knowing that people are going to be able to listen to it in very, very soon. I think I'm trying not to think about it though, because for me, I've still got to keep my head on straight. You know, I've not been, like I said, none of this has been made for people to like consume, or you know, it's not been made for people anyone else other than me. And I've still got to keep that true, I think, to the very end. I'm still making all the content that we're putting out, all the videos that we're putting out, the artwork we're putting out. I'm doing it all from the perspective of, well, what do I want? What I want from me as a fan of my own music.
Definitely.
You know, that's still got to ring true. It still feels very intimidating. I'm very excited that people are going to be able to hear it, but you know, I'm really trying to not think about other people right now, which seems counterintuitive, but that is, I think, the safest thing to do.
Well, I think that's the best thing to do, is just honestly like have a bit of fun of it, and if it's going to boost your own confidence to get what you want out there, it's going to be brilliant for yourself, isn't it?
Sure. But also, like I said, I don't have a choice.
Well, I mean, obviously you spoke about how it comes from a place of insecurity, and I know a lot of that stems from 2015 and 2016 being like the eyes of the world on Jack Garratt, and that, you know, being a lot of pressure on you. So I was just going to ask you, if you've obviously experienced that now, and you're through the bad bit of it, you're coming out of it now. What would you say to anyone that has got that feeling in any scenario of having the weight of the world on them as it feels?
I mean, take it as seriously as you need to take it, and don't listen to people who are going to want you to brush it off. I think a big problem that I went through was I felt pressures that were there, and I was gaslighted by a lot of people who were in my immediate support group into ignoring those pressures, into swatting them away, into like, you know, don't listen to the quote haters. Whereas my thing is like, no, but they're everywhere and they're talking. I can't not listen to them. I can't just ignore them. I think like there's an expectation, and I think I talk about this in the album, in Love, Death and Dancing. I've never been expected to ignore my happiness. I've always been accepted or encouraged to ignore or bat away or swat away at my sadness. And I refuse to believe that my emotions are problems. If they're problems, they're probably problems for other people, and that's not my problem. Mm-hmm. Like I think there is a necessary balance that is needed in all of us about ourselves, a love that we need for all of ourselves, and that love needs to accept the things that we also don't love about us. And that's such a hard thing to get right, because it is about balance, and you've got to practice that balance for forever. Because this is the other thing as well, is I don't know if I'm coming out of anything. I think I'm in a wave. You know, I may be cresting at the moment, but there's going to be a dip at some point in the future. I can't pretend like because I've done the work on my emotional health, that's it, I'm fixed and happy forever. I know that that's not going to be the case, and I think having even that level of self-awareness is going to prepare me for eventual, or prepare me for eventualities. I don't think it's preparing for failure. I don't think it's, you know, accepting that I'm going to be sad and therefore woe is me. It's just simply accepting that that's just a likelihood for the future. As long as I'm able to still look at the red flags when they appear to me, and I'm able to see issues from a distance, hopefully, then I can prepare for them even better. But I don't know. Nothing prepared me for the pressure I went through on that first album. Nothing could have taught me how to deal with any of that. But I was expected to deal with it very quickly, and I think that was unfair. It's unfair you know, I was 23 at that time. It's ridiculous to have expected me to just be okay with the immense amount of scrutiny and pressure that I was going through.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, you are literally toying at the heartstrings right now. I've got to keep it together for the rest of this interview. But yeah, I mean, what a relatable message for so many people, because obviously you are at the heights of fame in the music world. But I mean, anyone in any kind of relatable situation to that, whether it be getting through a degree or something like that, I'm sure they can relate to that. The new single, Better, I heard it on Greg James this morning. It was sounding brilliant on there.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I think he played the Big Weekend version of it.
Yeah, and I mean, first of all, it's got one of my favourite samples ever in it.
Yeah.
Just a brilliant meme. You've literally put a meme in one of your songs, which again, confidence.
I mean, yeah, confidence, but also highlighting the kind of the whole point of the song. The song is about escapism, and the song is about ignoring the issues of the world. And so, what better thing to do than to use a Vine sample, a social media that doesn't exist anymore?
I know,
though it might be a meme, it's definitely an out of date one.
The resurrection of Vine. Jack Garrett can do it. He's the one that can do it. And also, so we've seen 2 music videos from the album so far. We've seen Time and we've seen Better. And I mean, can we officially call you? Can ABBA officially call you the Dancing Queen? Is it allowed?
I don't think that's a title that I'm allowed to give myself. But no, I mean, I know I really enjoyed doing the videos for it, and the dancing was such a challenge, but it was a necessary one. It was, not just a challenge because I wanted to dance in the video. It was a challenge for me, just in terms of my attitude towards myself. I used to dance a lot when I was a kid, and I stopped doing it because I started to get embarrassed by it. This was me actively trying to kind of reclaim some of that confidence back by giving me no other option but to dance. I'm the only person on screen for, I think we've got we did 8 videos. There's about 40 minutes worth of footage that we're stitching together, and there's no one else on screen for that entire time. It's just me. So we had to do it.
So we can expect more dances, is what you're saying?
Yeah, there's 2 videos already out and there's 6 more to go.
Get in. Well, as I said earlier on, some of our Fresh Air listeners have recreated the Better video, and I'll tweet it to you later, and you can critique it. You can see how they're doing on it. But as you said earlier on,
I'd love to.
I'm sure they're going to hate you seeing it. I've been told I'm not allowed to tag one of them in it. They're that embarrassed. But as you're saying, you had you headlined the BBC introducing stage at the virtual Radio 1 big weekend last weekend I should say. So by stage I mean which room were you in?
Just got a spare bedroom up in the top of the house that I'm renting, which I've currently turned into my studio.
It sounded great. It was a brilliant gig. So much power, and I love the way you did all the camera angles, just strapped to your wrist.
Yeah, well, actually, no, that one was on my chest.
Oh, chest, sorry.
We had, I worked with a couple of, my sound engineer who's been helping me a lot with putting, oh, God, sorry, something just fell down in my room. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
No, my sound engineer, Ollie Waiton, a really good friend of mine, someone I've known for a really long time. Mm-hmm. Like, he was in his house, tuned into my laptop to make sure everything was sounding all right. And then I had another guy who sent a bunch of cameras over that I then set up, and I stuck a GoPro on me. Like, we did it, the 3 of us, independently, but all together at the same time. It was very, very weird and interesting challenge, but it worked. But the idea that I had was, instead of just having all these static cameras up, I wanted to strap the GoPro around my chest, which is exactly what we did, and it looked absolutely great.
It really did. And obviously, with from 2015 and 2016, and now obviously, you are very much a prodigy of BBC introducing. So just to finish, we want to get from you your recommendation. This might be difficult for you, but the one name that you think we should be looking out for at the moment.
Oof, I tell you what, that is difficult simply just because there's a lot of incredible music out at the moment. Mm-hmm. There is a lot of incredible music out at the moment. That's a really, really difficult one to...
I've put you under pressure, haven't I?
That's a really difficult one.
You could list a few of
them. No, yeah, you have. To be honest though, I absolutely put my hand up for someone who was at one point part of the new music scene. Mm-hmm. I am not actively engaged with the new music scene at the moment. To be honest, I find it incredibly overwhelming because of how much new music there is constantly being presented to the world. It's an incredible amount when you think about it because of the amount of creativity that exists out in the world. But there's so much; it's so intimidating to swallow. And during this time, I've been going back to I've actually been listening to a lot of instrumental music, a lot of classical music. Mm-hmm. That being said, there are some artists that have been sticking some really great stuff out that I have been listening to. There's a songwriter, a guy I love in America called Ethan Gruska, who's released an album this year. He works a lot with Phoebe Bridgers, whose stuff is incredible.
Oh, yes.
Also part of the same crew of people like Blake Mills and and what's the name that's trying to get to the icon, Perfume Genius, who just put an album out that I actually haven't listened to yet.
They're brilliant, aren't they?
On top of that, Lapsley's got a new album out, which is incredible, and I always love her and what she's doing. I know Little Sims is putting out a new project at the moment, which is apparently incredible. Like, there is so much great new music out there. I'll be honest, I've been a bad member of the music industry, and I haven't been listening to that much of it. But like I said, I've been trying to find my inspirations elsewhere. I've been listening to a lot of classical music instead. A lot of what's his name, Steve Reich and Philip Glass, and like minimalist composers and stuff like that. Because why not?
Why not? Definitely. Well, Jack, thank you so much for that. What an eye-opening interview. Can I just say that? Honestly, really, really relatable. And I know so many of our listeners will. In terms of like the kind of mental health aspects you talked about, they will definitely relate to just that message you got across. So thank you so much for that.
Oh, good, and I hope so as well. I think it's a really important thing. I was talking to someone else earlier today who was at Nottingham Unit, and just talking about that, like, just the generational interest in mental health, and the active ability in which everyone is trying to destigmatize it by just turning it into a unsensationalized, undramatic, necessary and normal part of our everyday conversation.
Definitely.
I think it's so important that our art reflects that, and the art that I'm trying to make is reflecting that. You know, I don't want to give answers to things I don't have the right to give answers to, but I absolutely will pose thoughts and questions that I think we're all feeling. That's what I've tried to do on this album. You'll notice there's no answers in any of it, because that's not my job. You know, I just want to. I've created an album for myself, and I hope that other people can respond to it in the same way that I have done. But thanks, Finn. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the chat.
Thank you very much. So the new album, Love, Death and Dancing, is out on the 12th of June. There's your big advertisement at the end.
Hey, I knew I was here for a reason.
It was great to speak to you, though, Jack. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you too, mate.
See you later.
My pleasure, mate.
Bye.
Thank you very much.